we're going to learn a really useful spelling pattern because it is very consistent and it is very common. I call it the confident rule. It is, some people call it the confident rule, not just me. And it is because I want you to look at this word confident. Look at that I in the middle. According to the tap 2 rule that you've learned so far, shouldn't that I say I? Because there's not two D's after it, right? If it followed typical or common reading patterns, it would say confident. But here's the confident rule. When I is in the middle syllable, it gets to say I, no matter what. So it trumps, it's greater than the tap 2 rule. I is a little princess of letters, and when it is in the middle syllable, it says I, regardless of if there are two vowels after it or not. The hardest part of this rule is figuring out if it's in the middle syllable or not. In order to do that, you have to know what a syllable is. A syllable is a chunk of a word, a part of a word that contains a vowel sound. So if there is a word with 3 syllables in it, there would have to be 3 vowel sounds that don't touch. As in confident, you can see there's an O, an I, and a D in that word, and neither of those vowels touch each other. So we can see that it's a 3-syllable word and that I is in the middle syllable. So it can be a 3-syllable word or a 4 or a 5. As long as I is somewhere in the middle syllable, it doesn't have to have 2 consonants after it for it to say I. It will just say I almost always. Let me show you some examples of this rule for real words. We have hospital, family. You can see in those words that I says I, even though there's not 2 consonants after it. Can't think of any other examples, but there's a lot actually. This is a very common rule, and now you're going to encounter it everywhere, and it's really helpful for reading too. But for spelling, the important thing to know is that when you're spelling a word with an I sound in a middle syllable, you do not need to put 2 consonants after it. So for instance, if you were spelling confident like this, and you're wondering, does there need to be 2 D's there? Now you know there doesn't. If it's an I in the middle syllable, it does not require 2 consonants after it. It just says, it gets to say I all the time in the middle. Now, being in the middle of a syllable is different than being in the middle of a word. So I'm not talking about the middle of a word like print or even slipper. It has to be in a middle syllable. So there has to be a full syllable before it and a full syllable after it, which means there are 2 vowels on either side of it that do not touch it. Does that make sense? Yeah, is that okay? Let's practice it. Okay, let me share my screen here. So the first word that I want us to spell is I-tipid. And we're going to do this one together. I-tipid. I-tipid. Can you see how many syllables are in that word? There's 3, right? You can tell because there are 3 dots here that don't touch. Those dots represent the vowel sounds. So we can tell that it's a 3-syllable word. Now let's put in the consonants. I, t, I, d. For the I sound, we're going to use an I, which works just fine here because there's another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. I will say I if there's another vowel 1 or 2 doors away. For the I in the middle, I is the only letter that spells I, but usually we would need to put 2 P's here for every other vowel, but I's are special. If they are in the middle syllable, they do not require 2 consonants after it. Just 1 is fine. And then the I is going to be spelled with an I at the end. long, short, short. So the reasons are this I says I because of the tap 2 rule. There's a vowel 1 or 2 doors away. This I says I because it's in the middle syllable. This I says I because of the tap 2 rule. There's not a vowel 1 or 2 doors away. Okay? Your word. I-mitist. I-mitist. Go ahead. I-mitist. All right, so we have our consonants first. I, it, is, t. For the I sound, I'm going to spell it I just fine, which works perfectly there because I says I when there's a vowel 1 or 2 doors away. For the I sound in the middle, I is the only letter that spells that sound. Usually a vowel that's short would require 2 consonants after it, but not I if it's in the middle syllable. If there's a vowel before it that doesn't touch it and a vowel after it that doesn't touch it. And then this I gets to say I just fine because there are already 2 consonants after it. So there is I-mitist. How are you doing so far? Let me know in the chat if you are, do I need to go a little slower and really kind of break this down a little more? Or do you want me to just keep plowing through like usual? Okay. All right. Maybe a little slower on this one. So this word is going to be I-fi-dip. Let's do this one together. I-f-i-d-i-p. Consonants. I-f-i-d-i-p. Now all I have to spell is my vowels. What will I use for the I sound? I is the only letter that spells I. And I don't need to add anything else because there's already a vowel 1 or 2 doors away. I will say I if there's a vowel 1 or 2 doors away, unless it's in the middle. So like this one, I'm going to spell the I sound with an I, and this is our new rule. I will say I if it's in the middle syllable, which means there's a vowel before it that doesn't touch it, and a vowel after it that doesn't touch it. Touch it meaning it would have to be the very next letter. So there's a vowel before it, a vowel after it. Whoops. That's all you need for this rule. If there are 2 vowels before and after it that don't touch, then this I gets to say I without 2 consonants after it. So this breaks the tap 2 rule. There doesn't have to be 2 consonants there. And then for the I sound at the end, I'm going to spell it with an I. So here is I-fi-dip. Try this one. Yours is I-ti-sip. I-ti-sip. And there's a S sound in the middle there in case you were wondering if it was an S or an F. S like Sam. I-ti-sip. I-ti-sip. Okay, so we have our consonants. I, t, I, s, I, p. You with me so far? So far, so good? For the I sound, I bet you know what we're going to put. An I, right? And it says I just fine because there's a vowel in the next one or two spots. For the I sound, I is the only letter that spells that sound, so we're going to start with an I. And it's allowed to say I in the middle syllable, even though there's not two consonants after it, even though there's another vowel in the next one or two spots. If this was any other letter, it would have to follow the tab 2 rule. If it was an E, it would say E because there's a vowel one or two doors away. If it was an O, it would have to say O because there's a vowel one or two doors away right there. If it was a U, it would have to say U because there's a vowel one or two doors away. So usually a vowel will have to say its name if there's a vowel one or two doors away, but not I. If I is in the middle, if there's a vowel before it that doesn't touch it, a vowel after it that doesn't touch it, it gets to say I, even though there's a vowel one or two doors away. And then this I says I because of the tab 2 rule. There is I to sip. I to sip. Put a Y or an N in the chat if you got that one on your own. Y, yes, and no. Y or N if you got that one on your own. Good. All right. Okay, this one is, we're going to do this one. You know what? Let's do this one. Let's do this one together. Chittidip. Chittidip. Together we have ch, I, t, I, d, I, p. This one's going to be just a touch harder than the last one. Consonants first. We have ch, I, t, I, d, I, p. There are 3 I sounds in that word, and I is the only letter that spells that sound, so I'm going to start with an I here. However, can that I say I in this spot? No. This I cannot say I here because there's a vowel in the next one or two spots. That would force this I to say I. The only time it gets to say I without breaking that rule is if it's in the middle. So this I requires 2 consonants after it to make it say I. So if there's not 2, you make 2. So we need 2 T's. This I is just fine because of this new rule that we're learning. It doesn't need 2 consonants after it because it's in the middle. And this I is just fine. So there is chittidip. Chittidip. Now keep that word in mind while you keep this part in mind when you make this next word. Your word is ship-i-tib. 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 Okay, let's do consonants first. So we have sh, I, p, I, t, I, b. So we have 3 I sounds. Let's see if we need to do anything funky with the spelling here. This I is going to say I only if it has 2 consonants after it. If there's not 2, make 2. So this word has to have 2 P's. This I does not have to have this I should say, does not have to have 2 consonants after it because it's in the middle. It's the middle syllable. This I does follow the tab 2 rule and say I just fine. It either has to have 2 consonants after it or a consonant in a space like this, as long as there's not another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. Now, I must know, how did you do on ship-a-tib? Hard, easy, medium? Let me know in the chat if you wouldn't mind. Okay. Okay. All right. Lots of mediums on this one. Yeah, that one was hard. Okay, let's try another couple. Try this word. You might need to watch my mouth so that you know what letter is coming out, because some of these voiceless sounds sound like each other. I flip. No, no. I slip. I flip. No, no, no. Is that right? Yeah. I slip. So there's two L's. I slip. Boy, that's a doozy. That's a hard one. I slip. I slip. Okay, consonants first. I, f, o, I, s, o, I, p. That's going to be the hardest part in this word. It's getting all those consonants and all those L's in the right spot. Yeah. So this I, wait a minute, it can't even say I here. It has to be, no wonder I had that little short sound right there. This has to say I. There is no way for that word to say I slip. The only way it would be without this L. So that was my fault. My sincere apologies. So this I has to be I, has to be spelled with an I. And it doesn't even need the confident rule because there are already two consonants after it. And this I spells it just fine in that spot. So this word is actually slip. Were you wondering, how can I possibly spell slip when there's two consonants after that I? If you wondered that, then brilliant. Smarter than the teacher. I love that. All right, let's end on maybe a touch easier one. Last one. Spin. Spin. Go ahead. Pin. Pin. Okay, so for pin, we have I, O, I, S, P, I, N. For the I sound, I'm going to make an I right there, which works just fine because there is another vowel in the next one or two spots, so we can say I. For the I in the middle, this I can say I for two reasons. One, it's in the middle syllable, so it gets to say I regardless, but it also can say I because there are two consonants after it. So that gets to say its short sound for two reasons. And this I says I because it just can. There's not another vowel in the next one or two spots. Now, do you feel like you could explain the confident rule to somebody else? Do you feel like you could say, if there's an I in the middle syllable of a word, it says I, no matter what? That's all you have to know, really. If you see an I in the middle syllable, when you're reading and when you're spelling, it's going to say I. And when you're spelling, you don't need two consonants after it. Okay, so last thing, would you please put in the chat this whole lesson? Do you feel like you grasped it or no? Do I need to have a little bit more of a review for next time? Put yes for I grasped it. It was just a little hard, but I understood it. Or no, we need to have a little bit more of a review on this one. Put a word in the chat for me if you wouldn't mind. Okay. Good to know. Beautiful. All right, my friends. Thank you for making the time to come to spelling class. You are remarkable. Have a wonderful night. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.